Okay, so I'm gonna paint this photograph today. So I don't seem to have a paper towel. So to begin with, I'm just gonna try to map out what we're doing here. So probably primary focus is this apple, but we're going to, so I'm just gonna say this is I don't know if we're gonna put that pear in or not. We'll see. If you want to really go wild, you can put water all over the paper before you start. But I didn't want to go wild today. Unlike the last, when I did this apple there, we used cheap paper. We're using the expensive stuff today. And so anyway, now let's dive in because we know the apple's going to be here. That's a pear, that's another apple. And already this looks not so great. There we go. We just put some water on there and lift it up. So let's see. This is another name for, painting if you don't really know what you're doing, but you do it anyway. So I'm going to take the lightest light I see, which is yellow, and there's some green there. And then that's the, orangish yellow, and all these little dots are like a fade, um, whitish, but it is not, I don't know if, I wouldn't call it as white as that. So anyway, so we want, as watercolor, you want to start with the lightest color. So I'm going to use this Hansa yellow, and then I'm also going to dip into this budget paint yellow. So I don't usually look at colors first, but in this case I'm going to look at the color. Okay, so this yellow, I mean, that could be good for here. I wouldn't really call it the same yellow as that. So let's start with this area. And it's kind of fluorescent. So there we are. We are here. I guess we could sort of like hit a little couple of things up here for this. Now let's try to, that's more of a golden yellow, so and try to get a little golden influence there. Let's just see about that. And then, so looks good. And then let's go like lighter by putting some water. And then we're gonna go here, and I'm leaving some white right there, just because that's going to be the highlight. This is going to be the area which is closest to the viewer, so we want contrast that area. The best way to get contrast is to have some white there as we go. And there's a lot of paint there. Just going to blot some up. This underpainting business, we're just trying to really lay down some paint on the surface. Okay, so here let's try to, I don't really like to paint any lines in a painting. And as far as the bottom edge, I would not call that even close to yellow, more like a silver gray. So But besides that, I think we can just say, sort of put in some. Okay, now let's try to just spread all this around. I painted a lot of apples, you know. If you see in my channel, you'll see I painted a lot of apples in watercolor. Does not mean that, you know, this one is going to be even close to whatever was my best. In fact, probably going to be far away from what was my best. But, you know, the watercolors is a journey, and you sort of go where the watercolor takes you. At least I do. I mean, I guess there's some experts who have some, uh, you know, some systems in place where they just, you know, rock and roll. And having done it, I've done maybe 1,000 watercolors, but you know, maybe people have done 5,000, and therefore when they paint, they have predictable results. So here I'm going to try to get kind of a gray thing here for this pear that I didn't think we were actually going to even paint, but now we're painting it. And so here we have hinted at the pear. Now let's try to boldly paint some red, not to get too literal, but you know, the apple is kind of red. And you know, we got to remember when we did this apple here, you know, here what we got is this shape that is like this, and then like this, you know, it's like, I don't know what you call it, concave, conclave, convex. Let me see if anyone's here. Oh, hi, there's some people here. Thank you, I do need more credit, ha ha. And hi, Daniel, thank you for the compliment. And where, void, yes, let's sell, ha ha. Hi, May, blue eyes. A big hello right back at you. Anyway, so you know, I'm just saying this is a shape here. There's a stem, and so you know, our big objective here is to there's the shadow of the stem. I don't know if that really looks, you know, round or something like that, but anyway, this is our basic shape, and we are trying to make it look like this thing here is indeed inside, you know, going in. So anyway, back to it. So now we're gonna hit some red. So doesn't really matter what red at this point. But we're gonna kind of, if you look closely at the reference, there is a few lines that are going in curves that follow the circumference of the apple. So we're gonna just kind of you know, say hi on a curved line that is going following the circumference of the apple. That's a tricky part. Okay. And like I said, at this stage here, it really doesn't matter what red you're using, because we're really just trying to get some paint happening on the paper. And we definitely want it to be in just the right place. I mean, as far as I'm gonna have to look that word up to see what the heck that was. Okay, so critical area here. So this, I'm trying to get this line that's right here. As we look closely, we see our photo reference is pretty crappy, but anyway, not a lot of detail there. Okay, that's the stem. I just realized. Okay, so kind of ignoring the stem at this point. So this, and then this, I think, is kind of like the shadow of the stem. which is not actually red, but if we have it start with red, we can put a shadow in later. And then now there's like little blotches. If you see, it's like blotch, 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 okay? But they are still, uh, you know, following the, this side goes up here. So here, we don't want to use the same red all throughout either. I'm just going to blot that because, you know, we're trying to build form here. We're not trying to have these brush strokes especially visible when we get to the end. So you see surrounding the blotches is kind of gray. You know, Caravaggio, the famous artist, could have capture that gray perfect, but I don't know if we especially want to, need to, or should worry about it. Another idea is to, you know, there's a slight blue right there. Another idea would be to use a pale blue, exaggerate the blue, and that way the contrast might give us an interesting, what do you call it, thing for the maybe blue eyes. Yeah, good idea. Okay. All right, next is, before it gets late, why don't we try to hint at this green right there. So these are the cheap paints, which I was using just because, you know, most people got access to cheap paints if you want to try it at home. These paints over here, that's like a, I don't know, $100 for this palette here because it's a Daniel Smith paint. So anyway, that is why I'm trying to, you know, use a little cheap paint in case people want to try this at home. All right, so I am going to see about a big fluorescent almost green right there, and here goes very critical juncture here. That is not a good green. Okay, there we go. All right, well, we're saying hello, we're green here. Let me put this try here. That is not a good green. Anyway, but we are there. We have arrived. We showed up, and we said hi. We're green. So that's, I guess that's a big part of the thingy. I'm gonna put more of that golden yellow right here. Okay. Oh, we're already building form. Look at that. Wow. Okay. Now I'm gonna try the our theory of putting some blue. Just a faint blue, like down here. I mean, it's not really blue, but I guess like right here, why don't we just say, you could call it blue. All right, and so it's like blotches. So it'll kind of come up here, and then I'm gonna blot it. So we're very faint. There we go, very faint blue. It doesn't really look that good. Maybe later it'll come into focus. And try some more up here. Let's see if we can boldly build some form by putting some blue here. So far we're very timid here, but which is not always a good thing, but you know, gotta take it slow. All right, so I'm gonna just try to so here you see, you know, there's a red area. This is a highlight, a bunch of red areas, and then the big highlight right here. So, you know, this, I'm gonna try to remove a little of this paint there. Okay. So right there, now it's starting to look translucent. So that's what we're really after. We can get an apple that looks translucent, then I mean, it's not really translucent, but the energy of the apple is definitely translucent, I think. And that way, if we get you know, something that looks like, you know, you can see the beating heart inside or whatever, it's going to be a win. Okay, so let's see, we got like a shadow here. This is maybe the darkest shadow in this apple. And we have the stem there. So you see, I didn't paint the stem yet. I don't want to commit to any, you know, important details. Anyway, I think we're going to, why don't we try to put a shadow here? So to get a shadow, you know, what that is a gray, but you see a red tint because actually the color of the, you know, thing is going to tint the shadow because of reflection. Light goes here, bounces down, it hits the shadow, and you know the reason, as you know, the reason we see light is because light bounces off that and hits your eye, and when your eye perceives the red. Same thing is, you know, light uh, bouncing off this and into the shadow. It's going to be that color. So very faint, but you know. So anyway, let's get a gray going, and to get a gray, they got gray in tubes, but we don't really have those tubes, so we are going to mix red and blue, and then here we go, red and blue. Okay. All right, so there's the beginning of a red blue, so I'm just going to go here. There's not a lot of red in there. Let's try to add another dab of red. Okay, that's not really a good red. This one's called Opera Pink by Daniel Smith, which is, it sure does look pink in that one. Okay, so now let's go back to the gray. And so the shadow is kind of like that. It's darker right here at the bottom, but we are going to do that in a different layer. Then there's a highlight in the shadow right there, and then it gets a little bit darker right there. So we're going to be mindful of the highlight, and we're going to sort of there, then this goes here. Okay. So now I want to soften the highlight. So I dipped a brush in water, and now I'm just going to sort of paint water right around this highlight. Then I took the water off the brush, and now I'm just going to go right here with the drier brush, and I'm removing the paint, and now we have a highlight that it has a soft edge. And then likewise for the other up here, we want to get a soft edge, so I'm just painting water on there. If you're using cheap paper, this will not be quite as successful. And then interestingly, you know, it has come to my attention that this apple right here is touching there. In our painting, it is not exactly touching. So how about that for a big surprise? All right, so here I'm just going to soften this edge. That looks good. It's a nice thing in a shadow to have, you know, blotches and stuff like that, because especially early on, you know, we don't really want to be, you know, pigeonholing ourselves into something early on. So here I'm trying to just hint at this shadow. If you see this shadow that's right there, the reason these shadows are so complex, I guess, is because of this light right here. It's got two bars, and for better or worse, it gives you like 20 different shadows. So let's see if I could illustrate that. So here, you see the knife, the shadow under the knife there. It's going in 6 different directions because I got light coming from here, coming from there. Anyway, I also got this single light source lamp here. I'll turn that on if I could find the button. Oh, here it is. So turn this guy off. So that's the single light source lamp that, you know, if we do, you can get a much nicer shadow Oops, get a much nicer shadow with a single light source lamp. But you know, that's for another painting, I think. All right, back to the apple. Hi, Daniel. Thank you very much. Hi, Daniel. Appreciate. Okay. Anyway, now we're going to try to hint at this. We were a little off there. So let's just take a vague red and probably not. Oh, damn, it's that one. I'm sorry, I didn't want to curse. I don't like that red for. Try to get a. There we go. All right, let's see. I don't like this red either, but I'm just going to blot that up because we're just trying to hint at where the other apple comes, and that's not really trying to depict the other apple at this stage here. All right. But anyway, so since we're on the subject, let's just try to sort of put in a little bit more. We don't want this neighboring apple, to be attracting all the attention, because this is our apple right here. The star of the show apple. Oh well. Let's let it attract attention, and who cares? Blot a little more up there. Put some yellow. It's got a lot of yellow, this apple. Maybe we gotta switch gears and say, hi, this is the real apple here. Okay. And this has a hint of red right there. So we're painting this apple very loosely. I wonder why we couldn't paint the other apple so loosely. Anyway. Hi, Gavin Monk. Thanks a lot for stopping by. All right, why don't we put the little gray shadow. Again, this shadow here has a lot of red in it. I mean, a heck of a lot more. I printed this, it said, you know, best quality print, but it's just on paper. It might have been different if I printed on photo paper or something, but I did not. So for this shadow, I'm leaving a little white space. You ever notice on an HD TV, if you look really close at the HD image, whatever it is, there's this little white space on the outside of any object, and that contributes to the HD look. So we're gonna mimic the HD TV experience with this. Yeah, let's see. So here I took some the water off the brush to blot up, because this thing, there's like a slight triangle right there, and that's sort of what I'm trying to capture with that. You even up this part. Wow, good looking shadow. And then I'm just going to soften this whole outside edge. I've got some almost clear water, and then I'm going to leave a little white space right there because that'll give more personality to the shadow. And now, unfortunately, the shadow is like a different color, so I'm gonna, you can see this as secondary shadow. I'm just going to uh, put the color I used in that shadow, just to get a thing. I'll dry a brush again, because I want to take this part out, and let's just soften. Really looks, shadow looks pretty good. I mean, maybe this video could be called "How to Paint Shadows Underneath Mediocre Watercolor Apples." Okay, I'm gonna try to soften that line. I don't know if this is gonna get soft because I let the paint dry, but it does seem to be getting a little softer. See, instead of having that hard edge, you know, it's just a little bit more diffused. And you know, this area here is darker than what we got, but it doesn't matter at this point. We're just trying to, you know, say hi. We're here. We're shadows. More detail coming soon. All right. So let's maybe do the background a little darker. As far as background, we want a warmer color in the foreground, a cooler color in the back. We're gonna call that a gray. So here we got like a slightly warm gray. Let's see if that is anything. And then let's go cooler. Here I'm adding some blue there. So the actual, you know, very subtle, the warm cool thing. In fact, it's a little obnoxious the way I have it there, but so that's why I'm trying to blend in. It's like, if it's not really noticeable, that's a good, it would be a positive. Like trick the eye. So I don't know what this color is going to be. It doesn't look that great, but anyway, yeah, we're just trying to get some. That's an incorrect brush stroke I'm using too. I'm in a hurry though, so you know, we're not here to. Are we here to learn how to do a good brush stroke, or are we trying to bang out a painting? I always say you were trying to bang out a painting. And maybe just a little bit there. Oh, it looks okay, the background. Not great. And then like this here, you know, that's not so great to have a hard edge at that close to the edge. So I'm going to sort of just blob some water on that. And okay, so maybe the background is kind of like, I don't know, something happening. So it's improvement or not, who knows? Let's see. Huh, in the reference, that's white up here. What happened? Oh, well. You know, there's a bit of poetic license you got to employ when you, thank you for the comment. I don't think I can pronounce your name. The other day I did a live and then I was muted. I'm trying to see if I'm on mute here. Can anyone tell me if I'm on mute? All right, anyway. Time to boldly move forward here. So how about this pear? Are we going to represent the pear? The pear is actually a sketch. Let's try to represent the pear lightly. It's kind of a gray, warm-ish gray. So let's start with this background. Let's see if we can mimic the oof. Here I'm looking at, the relationship between this and this. Like here, the whole apple, if you double it, you get down to here. So here, a whole apple, you double it, you get down to there. So I guess my proportion is, kind of close. I don't know, close enough perhaps. So this is like I was wondering when I selected this picture if it was a good idea to be trying to paint a sketch. Okay. Okay, well, it looks about right. So, often after painting some area, the question is, did I mess up the whole painting or not? And I guess for this particular area, we did not mess up the whole painting with this area. All right. Anyway, I hope I super appreciate everybody coming. I got to run to work, but we have established our underpainting, and unlike a real fresh fruit, which is going to go rot in a week or two, we have this photograph. We can come back for an identical experience moving forward on this painting. So art fun. I'll see you next time. And thanks again to everyone who stopped by. Now I'm looking how to turn it off. There we go.